The smell of roasted turkey, spiced cider, and baked pies filled the air as Alex stepped into his parents' house. The house was just as it had always been, warm, welcoming in appearance, yet underneath, it held years of hidden resentment. Alex wasn't supposed to be here this year. After all, the strained phone calls and unanswered texts from his siblings made it clear that he was slowly being phased out of family matters. He knew it, felt it, but never expected it to be so blatant. His younger brother, Mark, greeted him with a forced smile, while his sister-in-law barely glanced up from her phone. His mother, always the perfect hostess, kissed his cheek, her expression unreadable. The only one who seemed genuinely happy to see him was his niece, Bella, who ran up and hugged him like nothing in the world was wrong. But something was wrong. Alex could feel it in the hushed conversations, the side glances exchanged when they thought he wasn't looking. He had a sinking feeling that tonight's gathering wasn't just about turkey and gratitude. Dinner started off civil. A little too civil. Forced laughter. Awkward pauses. Everyone acted as if this was a normal family dinner, but the tension was thick enough to cut with a carving knife. Then it happened. His eldest sister, Melanie, cleared her throat, setting down her wine glass. We need to talk about something, Alex." The room fell silent. The only sound was the clinking of silverware. Alex put down his fork, meeting her gaze. "Go ahead." His father, always the one to keep order, sighed and folded his hands. "Alex, as a family, we've been talking, and we've come to a decision. We think it's best if we all go our separate ways." Alex blinked. "Excuse me?" His brother Mark leaned forward. "Look, you've been distant. You don't contribute like you used to. You don't show up when we need you. You don't answer calls," their mother added, though her voice wavered slightly. "You always act like you're better than us," another cousin muttered. Alex scoffed, pushing his plate aside. "So, let me get this straight, you all got together and decided to vote me out of the family? Like I'm some contestant on a reality show?" Melanie nodded, looking at him as if she were doing him a favor. "It's best for all of us." Alex exhaled, shaking his head. He had always been the one to help, the one to pick up the pieces when the others fell apart. And now, they were tossing him aside. But they had forgotten one thing. Alex reached into his bag and pulled out a thick, well-organized folder. He placed it on the table with a thud, making everyone flinch. "What's that?" Mark frowned. Alex leaned back, a slow smirk forming on his face. "Since we're making things official, I thought I'd come prepared." He flipped the folder open and turned the first page toward them. Bank transfers. Receipts. Loan records. Every single one was meticulously documented. "That," Alex said, pointing to a highlighted section, "is the $15,000 I gave Mark to cover his mortgage when he almost lost his house." Mark's face paled. "And that," he continued, flipping to another section, "is the $10,000 loan I gave Melanie when she wanted to start her business. Never saw a cent of it back." Melanie's lips pressed into a thin line. "And let's not forget the $25,000 I spent covering Mom and Dad's medical bills when no one else stepped up." His father looked down, ashamed. The room was dead silent as he continued flipping through page after page. In total, over $78,000, all given in the name of family. "You say I don't contribute?" Alex let out a bitter laugh. "No, what you mean is I stopped letting you all use me." His mother sniffled. His father shifted uncomfortably. "Alex, we..." He held up a hand, stopping the excuses before they started. "Save it. I get it now. Family, to you all, means taking and taking until there's nothing left. And when I finally stopped, you decided to vote me out. Well, congratulations." He stood, grabbing his coat. "You win." Before anyone could say a word, Alex turned and walked toward the door. But before he left, he looked back one last time. "Thank you," he said, voice steady. His father frowned. "For what?" "For finally making it clear that I was never truly part of this family." And with that, Alex left, leaving them all to choke on the bitterness of their own betrayal. It had been a year since that Thanksgiving night. A year since Alex had walked away. In that time, his life had flourished. Without the weight of being his family's financial safety net, he thrived, personally, professionally, emotionally. And as for his family? Well, the texts and calls started slow, trickling in over the months. They needed help. Mark's house was on the verge of foreclosure again. Melanie's business had collapsed. Mom and Dad were struggling with medical bills. Alex saw every message. And ignored them all. For the first time in his life, he chose himself. And it was the best decision he had ever made.